aggressive.
Yeah, or a bit of a, I won't one of them. That sounds really just that. Yeah.
So how's BigSound? You excited to be here?
I am. It's been like getting chucked in the washing machine, like with a lot of beautiful smelling clean friends. Although last night that description would not
No,
fit.
it's got a bit dirty with the Gurge by the sounds.
Yeah, there was definitely some dirt. The cold power did not work last night. But no, it's a real melting pot of all the people that keep Australian music alive and vibrant and true and support it. You know, all the passionate people that sacrifice a lot to make something as magical as you know, as our music happens. So yeah.
So you've been making new connections, bumping into old ones?
Bumping into some really great friends that I just, you know, it's overwhelming. It's like Christmas. It's like all the family are at the dinner table on the one day of the year. And so the emotions are running high. You know, you see people you haven't seen in a long time, and there's rivalries, and there's amazing romances, and it's wild.
So are you going to be making any big announcements while you're here? New EP?
I'm going to be playing a couple of songs off the upcoming EP tonight. Little taste. One of them's very Princey and Talking Headsy. It's a good mixture. Yeah, there's a few little bits and pieces to talk about. Yeah. One of the amazing pieces of support that I had on my first independent release was having the streaming platform Deezer really get on board and support me and push me as the first Australian release to feature on all 49 countries Deezer's home pages. So on that day, across 49 countries, my EP was the featured release, and a whole bunch of other notifications went out, which was an experiment for them, and it was incredible because with streaming you get to see, unlike CDs or iTunes, you get immediate analytical information. So almost within like a line, it just suddenly went, there's been 145 or 55, don't quote me, 1,000 people within 5 minutes of it going on the homepage in Mexico clicked play on my EP. Busking, I believe, is still to this day my preferred platform to perform music in public. I think it is the most honest, cutting edge way of performing because it represents, in a funny way, the digital age of today where people can essentially walk past and listen to you and not give you money, not respond to you. They're not, or then you can have someone come up to you, like I used to all the time, and want to know everything about you, give you money and offer you an opportunity. But that's now essentially what digital has done with the monetary system changing so much. We're essentially digital buskers. We're putting our music out there on the street, the digital street, waiting for someone to come and find us and want to give us that money, as opposed to the other method, which was, you know, setting up a little shop on a street.
Yeah.
So, to me, busking is the truest form of musical performance. Yeah. Sia Furler and I, as young children growing up in Adelaide, did a marriage, like a wedding ceremony in a living room at a house party. And we were probably bored, and Sia was a few years older than me and enlisted me as a groom, and we did a little ceremony. But Sia Furler is a very close old school friend that I've obviously lost contact with because she's been overseas for a long time and being mega successful. But Sia's dad gave me my first guitar and told me to play guitar, and I'm still in touch with him today. I think it can really work to a point. It can help you get into a place of being unconscious with yourself, which instantly puts an audience at ease. Like when someone's self-conscious on stage, it makes everyone, people when they look at a performer, empathise and put themselves in that person's shoes, I think. So it gives you that sort of turbocharge getting to that place. which instantly you get this great feedback loop where the audience warm up to you as you warm up to them, and then there's a show, and then there's a synergy occurring, which creates great music. But like anything, it often can go really badly. It's gone very badly for me on an occasion once I actually unwittingly had gone to have a few drinks. I used to work at a vodka bar that had very high percentage absinthe that was made by one of the staff. It was about an 83% alcohol volume, and I had a show at the SB that night with my band Offcuts, and it had been a residency, and it was like the last one. I was like, I'm gonna have a few drinks and get on stage, and we had to do 3 sets, so 3 45-minute sets, so a huge amount of music. I was like, I'm gonna be on stage for hours. I'm gonna get drunk. But the guy that was pouring me the shots, I thought I was drinking straight vodka, was pouring me the 83% alcohol volume, and I had about 4 of them. Climbed up onto the stage, couldn't tune my guitar, and within about 2 minutes of the first song, literally just put down my guitar, got off the stage, sort of stumbled down these stairs into the toilets and just lay on the floor, spewing my guts up, and just listen to the band have to go on without a singer. And I was conscious, but my body was just...
But they had that little pink fairy. You said when you were doing that gig that everything you sing about is based in truth.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of Billy's song.
Yeah.
About poor Billy.
Poor Billy, yeah.
Never Again.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Lake.
The Lake,
I mean, they're quite harrowing.
Yeah.
I'm big on lyrics.
Yes.
I have to listen to the lyrics and understand what it's about. Is it cathartic to write about these experiences?
Yes. It's also, I think it's the most vital. Like and in saying that, it's like the process of making a song and getting it to an audience there's so many variables and things that you have to constantly fight against that are not even related to the music. The music alone is a struggle enough, but let alone someone liking it and the recording sounding good, and then all these variables that are sort of the obstacle course that the song goes through. And I think the songs that have got the deepest essence and the strongest message are the ones that make it through that the best. So I've written a lot of songs but the ones that make it through for me after all my process are the ones that are always deeper, more uncomfortable, more honest, and from a raw is a terrible word, but from a place of rawness.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
The Lake's pretty raw.
The Lake is a raw song.
You've got the performer in you.
Yeah.
But you've got the producer in you.
Yeah.
So, unlike a lot of performers who really need to get the feedback to change direction, you self-produced. How do you criticise yourself? How do you change, evolve? How does a song evolve with you?
I have to work with other people. Like, I'm not a producer that just walks into a room and comes out with a piece of music that I've done. I have done that, and I still do it all the time, but it's never great music. I mean, I think the majority of the time I write okay music, and only a few times I've written good music, and I'm still trying to write a great song and a great piece of music. And I think that music has to be a discussion with other human beings. There has to be a wrestle, and there has to be compromises made. So even though I'm a producer, I would sort of, particularly those songs, I would be more like what you could sort of an executive producer. So I work with other musicians, I ask them questions, I play them ideas, I think, what about this? So I really put it out there, and then at the end of the day, when all that feedback's kind of in and the votes are being cast and things have come back differently than I put them out, you know, like the way someone's played a drum beat, or whatever, you know, whatever's come back after I've thrown it out there, I will eventually curate, essentially. So that's what I would call, right, the way I produce my own music, is essentially curating my ideas and other people's interpretation of them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, because there's a number of tracks on Modern Pest that aren't collaborations.
Yeah.
Did they have other people working on them?
Absolutely, yeah. I worked with a guy called Michael Iveson, who is Wally's touring drummer, Gotyettes touring drummer, and he was in deep with me, and he's an incredibly expressive musician and drummer. He approaches drums in a very musical, distinct, unique way, and he's got an incredible library of music underneath his musicality, just 100% of the time. So he was always suggesting that. So he is effectively as much of a part of the production of that EP.
It's the feedback loop.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, I decided to call myself a producer because I kind of saw it through, whereas he kind of got busy and had to go off and do other stuff. I've actually lost track of the question.
That's all right. It's a great response because it leads into the other collaborations that have been on this EP.
Yeah.
Plus, what I'm hoping will be the lead single off the next EP, which is the Rooftop.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Dude, I need that song. I need that song.
Okay, I know. So,
Mama Kin.
Yeah.
That choir.
The choir.
I mean, it gets me teary. That song. It is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I am a huge fan of that song.
But it was a different song.
Yeah.
Like you said, that this is a re-recording with them.
Yeah.
So what was it? Where did it come from? How did it evolve? Was it Mama Kin? Was it the choir? What made it a different song to you?
So it started out 4 years ago. I was doing a solo performance on a rooftop in a place in Melbourne called the Rooftop, which is this great building in Melbourne called Curtin House. It's got 6 layers.
Oh, I've been up it.
Yeah.
It took me about half an hour because I kept reading the walls.
Oh, yeah. So it's a real hub, and a friend of mine was working on the bar behind was managing the bar, and it was the middle of winter, and she said, do you want to do a regular gig here up on the rooftop by yourself? And it was freezing. I'd sit out there with fingerless gloves and a heater, and there'd probably be like 10 people. But with the whole of Melbourne spread out, stunning. And I was doing a show there to about 6 people one night, and I was just mucking around with this melody. And I thought, I'm just going to quickly record this whistling melody. I've even got the recording of me talking to the audience, saying, "Sorry, I'm just going to record this," and then So then I started writing lyrics about being up on this rooftop, and at that point I was very heartbroken. So a lot of my songs are about sort of redemption and trying to find a deeper meaning for what was going on, and there's a lot of pain and that kind of stuff. So you're dealing with these loaded things. Sophia Bruce, a very good friend of mine, I asked her to sing this version of it with me. I'd set up a little studio in an art gallery just to write a whole lot of demos. So she came in and we recorded this duet, and she sang this amazing harmony, which was really surprising to me because I'd just written the lyrics out on a piece of paper. And it was just haunting and beautiful, but completely unfinished. Like, we never got through the whole song, and the lyrics were not sort of linear. They were just sort of more sketches of like a poem, sort of. They didn't really go anywhere, or there was no sort of narrative, and it just stuck around. Like, the melody was what kept me coming back to it and going, I really want to do something with this song. And then it was about, I want to do a duet, and I want to find a female singer that I can really mash my voice with into this great, strong, close harmony, almost Appalachian style harmony. And then I thought Danielle Caruana, who's Mama Kin, who's one of my best friends, has just got this beautiful, rich, throaty, deep female voice that I thought, that is going to sound great.
Let's make a deal, pretend I'm all you see.
So then I set about properly finishing the song, and I sent it to her, and I said, would you be interested in doing this duet? And I've got this, grand plan to do it with a choir. And no, actually I didn't, sorry. Just with a piano. And she was like, sure, I'm in Melbourne in these dates. And then as we got closer and I started practicing with her in a yoga studio, there was a choir rehearsing in the next room, and we were trying to sing, and I could hear this choir, and I was like, So I went next door and said, would you guys be interested in doing this recording of my song in a couple of weeks, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it. So it was literally, I did a few rehearsals with them separately, and then a rehearsal with Monique Dimatino, who's one of my best friends, an amazing pianist, and then I knew that it would all come together. And
Now shake the hand that lives inside of me.
yeah, so the recording was it was very difficult to record. I set up my, like a multi-track, so I had mics and everything. But when I came down to mix it, it's just, we were in a huge echoing room, which is really not ideal for like a modern recording. So there's this huge reverb, which is kind of unwieldy sound. But I mean, the performance is there. So Danielle Mamakina's been talking about doing it. I shouldn't even talk about it, but yeah, we're definitely going to do a studio recording of it. Yeah, so there'll be
the video on YouTube.
Yeah,
that is the recording. That's
correct. That's a live recording. Yeah, and the audio is.
I mean, that's a very special recording. I wouldn't just discount it.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I guess it's more for like if you were listening to it just as music, it would sound a little bit funny. Like you'd be like, oh, it's not quite. The voices aren't quite clear enough, and you'd want to have a bit more intimacy.
Well, you have kind of hinted that you've got a new EP's worth of material.
Yeah, well, when I did that EP, I did an album. So I've got an album, and I just got a knife and just chopped it in half. And I thought I'll spread it out, so...
Don't do this to me.
Yeah. The next one's really got some great bits and pieces on it. I'm really excited about it. It's very old music to me now, but I have to, it's taken me so long to kind of cue it all up.
Wasn't Hotel Home 3 years ago?
Longer than that. 5 years ago, I wrote it.
So this is your clean out.
Exactly. Thanks. A great interpretation of the events of my last 5 years of my life. This is literally a creative clean out,
Metamorphosis time.
Yeah, because it took me a couple of years, to work out what I wanted to do. I had a sort of a bit of an awkward breakup with my band, and I thought, I kind of didn't want to do music for about a year, and I sort of did it in a very uncommitted way, and then I thought, no, I actually want to kind of keep doing music. So it took me ages it took me a lot of music to write and to kind of find what my thing is. And then I did, and then it took me ages to get the right people together, and it took me ages to get the money together, and it took me ages to find the right team to help me put it out. So it's been a massive journey, and I feel like I wish I was sort of at this point that I'm at now 8 years ago or 5 years ago, but you can't. I mean, I wouldn't be here without being here, so... Yeah.
Your overnight success has had a bit of time in the brewery, taking time to ferment.
It's definitely fermenting, very, very gaseous experience.
One of your analogies, which I thought was exceptionally good, was that the relationship between producing and performing is the same as between photography and Photoshop.
Yes.
One is in the moment, and the other is as long as it wants to be.
Yeah.
Now that's the same with recording, and a live performance, as in putting the album together. And Modern Pest it's layered. It has nuances.
Yeah.
There's so many angles to it.
Yeah.
For the Winter Secrets tour, you just did a guitar.
Yeah.
And now you're doing shows with. It's in my head, the YOLOs. And so you're a three-piece.
Yeah.
And so it's going to sound different every time. How do you strip a song back and rebuild it for performance?
Well, a song starts with just a vocal and a guitar. So it's not hard to strip it back to that. It's hard to go up from there. Because, You have to it's an economical decision. It's like, well, my recording has got, layers of strings and layers of percussion and layers of saxophones, and it's like, how do I can't afford to put on a show with 12 people on stage. It's not practical. So then you go down to the next little, if it was a stream flow chart, you go, okay, so no. Then you go, technology, which is where I spend most of my time. So you go, how do I do this how do I communicate these ideas with all that nuance and layering? So I decided to go with a 3-piece band, a drums, bass and guitar, and then have an extra layer of tracks, like Ableton tracks. So I incorporate like a live electronic sort of element, which is not too pronounced. I hate sort of bands that rely on that. So it's a subtle element to what we do, but it's important because it gives you those moments where there's extra things happening which we wouldn't be able to do with just as a 3-piece band.
Tim Shiel is an Ableton addict, isn't he?
Just was hanging out over there with him before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, don't tell him I'm here.
Okay.
I photoshopped his face onto boats, and I don't think he was happy about it. He was the one who tweeted in the first place. He should never have done that.
Right. Did it go viral?
Oh, just amongst the
Gotyettes.
The Gotye fans, the Gotyettes. Speaking of which,
yes,
they love you.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Mexico, Russia, Uzbekistan, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deezer.
Yeah.
What about the Gotyettes and the Wall-Nuts?
I am fascinated by they are such a passionate community of people, I don't know anything about them. I don't know where they are. In fact, I met a couple of lovely Gotyettes that came to the Claire Bodas show, and one of them, Ma, sorry. And they had not met before. And they were both in Australia from overseas and decided to meet at my show, which was such an honour.
That's bizarre.
I was so blown away by such a bizarre, series of events. It was like a film.
But they're fans of another tall person.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that because you're tall that they have to like you.
No.
And it doesn't mean that because two tall people worked on the same song that they still have to like you, but they have.
They really have. Yeah.
So what's your take on it? Are you just...
I'm just really honoured, to be honest. I don't know what to say other than I'm just honoured that people are enjoying my music and supporting it, and that they've come to it in a different way than I ever thought imaginable,
Cool.
So really just, I'm blown away by their passion as well, like for supporting Wally.
They have passion.
Yeah.
In spades.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the most unlike you music that you listen to?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's not one of mine. I've got to thank, it was one of the Gotyettes and Wall-Nuts. It's a question I'm going to put to the basics later. But I saw that and went,
the most
isn't that a
unlike
good
me
one?
music that I listen to, I've been listening for the last 6 months on a daily basis to Brian Eno's album Music for Airports, because it creates instant peace in my house. And if there's one thing that I need more and more of in my life is peaceful tranquility. Like when I get home, I really these days struggle with having music in my house unless I'm sitting down actively listening to it. I can't have it on in the background because I listen and analyse everything. So unless I'm sort of listening to it because I'm listening to specifically to analyse something, or just to sit down and enjoy a piece of music, it has to be very minimal, peaceful, like almost soundscape music. So Brian Eno's Music for Airports just creates this absolute, it's like lighting a stick of beautiful incense. It just there's this instant beautiful sound, and everyone in my house just comes down a little bit, and that to me is the power of music, whereas when I was 20 I would put on Public Enemy and it would be that. Now it's like that. So I would love to be able to write a piece of that music, but I can't write that music. I'm
Laurie
not patient
Anderson
enough.
is the same for me now. I've listened to her Mr. Heartbreak and...
So who was that?
Laurie Anderson.
Laurie Anderson, wow.
There are the two albums, Big Science and Sharky's Night or Mr. Heartbreak. I just pretend it's a double album.
Right, yeah.
And I can listen to that and not have to think about it.
She wrote that great line, "Language is a virus."
Oh,
Language is a vibe.
She is yet another one of the musical gods.
Yeah, she is. Wow, yeah.
So it's time to go. So the question that is on everyone's lips: what is your fascination with guide dog donation boxes in airports? Seriously, dude. It's a fetish.
It is a fetish. This is gonna be my thing. To be honest, I'm gonna be remembered as the guy that takes photos of. I'm gonna have a whole coffee book of guide dog just from around the world. I find it hilarious. You're in an airport and then there's just this plastic dog with a slot in its head that you put money in. And I understand the concept that I'm donating to guide dogs, and I often put money into them, but I can't. To me, it's like an installation, like a hilarious. Like you could see that in an art gallery, but people just are used to seeing them. But no one's looking at it as just there's a plastic dog with a slot in its head you put money in. So that for me is fascinating and a reminder that Dadaism is not dead.
I salute you for attempting to explain this fetish, but I think it's just going to be a dirty little secret for you.
Yeah, there's been, look, I did sort of cross the line with a bit of an insinuating kind of negative, well not negative, but a slightly touchy subject about two guide dogs. So I'm not going to cross that line again.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for the interview,
Thanks
Tommy.
so much for having me.
One thing you said earlier was you've yet to write a good song, and I hate to disagree with you because, like you, Prince fan,
Yeah.
I know good music.
Yeah.
And Modern Pest is just an exceptional collection of songs.
Thank you so much.
If it's part one of two,
Yes.
then bring it on, dude.
It is part one or two. Yeah.
And yeah, thank
you're
you. Thank you for
interested-
sharing
no
your music.
worries.
And they're coming to take me away.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so Van is my incredible manager over there, and
hardworking,
we've
never-ending
been
manager.
going through because Modern Pest is an anagram of my name, Tom Spender, and we've been going through.
It's just like Torchwood and Doctor Who.
Yeah. You're a Doctor Who fan?
Oh, of course I am. Everyone should be.
We have been going through the myriad of options that Tom Spender as an anagram presents. Everything from Mod Serpent to Modest Perm.
Modest Perm's nice. You could get a
Except
good
there's no
week.
N in that. Just realised. Anyway, so if you're wondering what the next EP is going to be called, just have maybe we could do like a competition.
Tom Riddle, Voldemort. I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Torchwood,
Maybe we should
Doctor
let
Who.
like people
Yeah.
that like my music choose an
A
anagram for the
competition
next.
needs to be done here.
That's a good idea.
So, okay.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye. Like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Well, we'll edit that.
We'll edit that.
Yeah.